Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, and welcome to Command Power, the show in which we discuss all things Magic the Gathering with a focus on Commander. And today we have another episode in our Spoiler Spotlight series in which I talk about, well, spoilers and tell you what my thoughts are on them. But before that, just a quick reminder to click subscribe if you enjoy my videos. We're well on our way to 1 million subscribers and your support means everything to me. And today we're going to be talking about Reverse the Polarity. For 1 colorless and 2 blue, it's an instant that says choose one. Counter all other spells, switch each creature's power and toughness until end of turn, and creatures can't be blocked this turn. Now this might seem like a very innocuous card on the surface, but I think it is really powerful and a very strong addition to the Commander format, and there's a few reasons for that. But before that, let's analyze why you might dismiss this card initially. The main reason people don't tend to like cards like this is because Cancel is not a very good Magic card, and particularly not a very good Magic card in Commander. Holding 3 mana up to just counter 1 spell and get nothing for it is not generally very good, and on the surface this looks similar to that. It even has the exact same mana cost as Cancel, but this just does so much more than Cancel. So let's look at what it does very quickly. The first option says counter all other spells, and that's the most similar one to Cancel, but even that is better than Cancel, because countering all other spells means that you can get multiple different things with this card, and that means that it's no longer a 1-for-1. It can be a 3-for-1 or a 4-for-1. Imagine if somebody has an Etali trigger on the stack and they hit 3 spells that they plan on playing and they put them on the stack, and then you just respond with this. Boom. You've just negated the entire Etali trigger, you've got yourself a 3-for-1, and you've probably negated like 20 mana of cards for a different player. That seems very good for just 3 mana. There's other uses, of course. This is very good against Cascade cards because it's always going to be at least a clean 2-for-1 in those cases, sometimes maybe even more. There's actually a lot of effects these days in Commander that cast a bunch of stuff for free or that put a lot of things on the stack in one go. So being able to counter all of them is very solid. But then again, if that was all that this did, it probably still wouldn't be good enough at 3 mana because of the opportunity cost of having to always leave 3 mana up and being a fairly narrow card. But then it has 2 other modes in addition to that first one. So the second mode is switch each creature's power and toughness until end of turn. Now this is probably the least useful mode, but there's also going to be a lot of times where this is just an absolute blowout. If you're against a wall deck, of course, it's amazing. You're going to be able to transform all of their walls into 0 toughness creatures, which means they're going to die, but that's not going to come up very often. However, there are a lot of decks that have creatures with high power and low toughness, and switching their power and toughness at instant speed when they've already committed to an attack can actually be a blowout. If the stats line up right, and they often might, this could save you from dying, or this could force a very profitable trade for you. You can also do it during other people's turns to really mess or to really be political by saving another player. So again, it offers a lot of versatility and a lot of things to do with this second mode. The third mode is another mode that I just think is great. Giving all creatures unblockable is really powerful, and you can give it to your creatures, which is the main use. You're going to be able to swing for lethal quite a lot with this, where otherwise you might have had difficult attacks or you might not have been able to push through because somebody else has built up some strong defenses. But not only that, you can also do that during your opponent's turn. Basically, if you want to knock another player out of the game, you can just encourage one of your opponents to attack that player and then just make all of their creatures unblockable, and suddenly you've essentially knocked someone out. So this mode is also never going to be useless. It's always going to have a use depending on the board state. Because of that, this is just so much more than the sum of its parts. Any one of these modes alone would maybe make this card playable, but nothing special. But when you combine all 3, I think it is a very powerful Magic card. It basically means that there are very few situations where this is going to be dead. If you draw this late game and there's not much stuff to counter, it can still affect the board in a meaningful way. It can still push through damage. It can still save you damage via the switching power and toughness mode. And there's just so many different situations where this shines that I think this should be a staple of the format going forward, and I'm certainly going to put it in a lot of my decks. So there you have it. Those have been my thoughts on this new spoiler. What do you think about this card? Please let me know in the comment section below. I read all comments and respond to all of them too. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click like or subscribe. It really helps the channel. And until next time, take care. Woo!